Head Mindset Podcast, and today I'm going to be speaking with my two sons, Malik and Dwayne. Tell me, Dwayne has decided to move to another state and start over. So we want to talk about that process.
Yeah, it's about, this podcast is about how it's never too late to start over. And, Dwayne here is 29 going on 30, and he's moving to a new state where there's, very little family over there. And so we just kind of wanted to talk to him about why, what are some fears he might have, and what led up to the decision to move to another state. So maybe we can start there. So why did you want to move to another state? What made you want to have new beginnings?
Well, it's something that I've kind of thought about for a while. Like, it's been the thought of trying something different, trying somewhere else to live has been coming in and out of my head for a few years, and I very nearly did it about 9 or 10 years ago, and never really committed to it. But over time, I kind of felt like I've kind of been a bit stagnant. I guess I've kind of hit this point where I'm enjoying my life, but I feel like I'm kind of going around in circles. So midway through last year, I went on a week's trip over there, and just being over there, just kind of, I got the feeling that's where in my life currently I wanted to be. And then coming back home, there was this kind of feeling of, a little bit of emptiness and stagnation, and kind of was a bit unshakable. And I kind of thought, well, now it feels like the right time. Like, why don't I try something? Why don't I just kind of make that leap and actually commit to doing it? Because what have I got to lose? So once that kind of thought got in my head, I couldn't really shake it, and that's kind of when I knew that it was probably time to do it.
Yeah. So you felt like a calling, pretty much, to be where you wanted to be. What's interesting is what made me think and realize is that you did the same thing. You came over here when you were in your 20s?
Yes, I was 20.
Yeah, and started afresh. So I guess you can kind of closely relate.
Yeah, I can relate to it because it's something that's always been in my head where I see people who are struggling in big cities, who are not happy where they are, and the cost of living is too high, and people are afraid to pull themselves out of that situation. So I'm very proud of Dwayne, who's willing to take a risk, has the courage to start over, start from scratch, and that's something that I want to plug his brain on and find out what it is that gives you that courage, and gives you that go ahead and say, okay, I'm done, I'm moving. And so tell us a little bit more about that, Dwayne. How was that a difficult decision, or is something you just happen to be just following your heart?
I think it was difficult to really commit to it. Definitely, even now, still have a few, those thoughts, those kind of cold feet kind of thoughts. But I think I was kind of thinking to myself, because I'm going to be 30 this year. I feel like I really haven't. My life hasn't really changed since I was kind of 20. I think now feels like the right time. Kind of initially I was a little, nervous and anxious about reaching 30 because just getting older is quite a lot to reckon with. But I think as I kind of thought about it more and more, kind of, I guess, excited for the future. It's obviously a big decision to make.
But yeah, let's be real about it. You started from scratch. You don't have a job, and only recently you just got a place to stay. So, what is the planning involved with that? What sort of preparation have you done? And even though you feel like you haven't quite got everything put together, you're still going to make that jump. So, what's that like? What's that feel like?
I think think it's mostly a sense of excitement. I think part of the reason I made the move was, you know, the place I'm going to is quite an exciting place. There's a lot to offer there. Like, as much as I love home, and it always will be home, I think I kind of hit a point where I just feel like there's more of the world to explore. Um, and I think that's exciting to me to kind of, even though I don't really know exactly what I'm getting into, I think, maybe 5 years ago that would have scared me a lot, and kind of would have held me back. But I think as I'm getting older and
Yeah.
learning more about the world, I think it's a challenge that's exciting.
Yeah, what I'm gathering from what you're saying as well is that not only is it, you're looking forward to starting kind of a new life, but as well, I would imagine the thought of staying in Perth for another 10 years is a painful thought.
I think so. I think there was a handful of things in my life that was leaving me feeling a little unfulfilled.
Mm.
Like I think the feeling I got when I got back from my trip late last year was that there was just more. I just wanted something more, and I was kind of got to a point where I was sick of just thinking about that. I thought it was time to actually do something about it. And yeah, so I don't know what to expect in the future. I don't know. I don't know what my life really looks like a week from now, really, which is when I leave. But that's
But that takes a lot of courage. But it sounds like that when it's the idea of staying in Perth is more painful than some fears that you might have going to Melbourne. Courage kind of comes easy when stagnation is more of a scary thought.
I think so. I think if you really want to, you just go for it. I think maybe whether I've realised it or not, it's something that I really desire. So,
Okay, so since you say you've matured, what do you got now that you didn't have when you were younger? Before you wanted to sort of make a move years ago. What do you think you have now that's giving you that edge that could take you to another state to live?
maybe I don't know. Maybe a bit more understanding of what the world has to offer. Like there's a lot more out there than just home. Like home will always be home, but there's a lot more out there. I think it's also a stepping stone to being in bigger world that's out there. Like I'm only kind of just moving across the country, but that could lead to me moving 5-10 years. I could lead me to moving overseas, kind of thing.
Okay. What about the personal side of you? Any attributes you think you have that's gonna keep you in good stead when you do? You're out there, you're on your own. You don't have family around you, so it's all on your back. What attributes do you think you have that's going to allow you to be okay?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I'm pretty. Realize I'm quite adventurous and I enjoy a challenge. Like I kind of enjoy kind of putting myself out of my comfort zone a bit, which I maybe didn't have years ago. I kind of really built that. I'm maybe less insecure about myself and less willing to, I guess, go for it and not get myself bogged down in negativity as much.
Mm.
How do you feel about the idea that you really got to start all over again? Like what you've kind of built up in Perth, you're going to have to go back to square one. How do you feel?
I think there's certain areas of my life that I'm not. I don't know. I wish I was maybe further along, or better at, or kind of. So I think for me, kind of clearing the slate and restarting over, I think that's quite driving for me. Like it is a big thing to kind of leave everything behind, leave all your family and friends, and start again. But I think I personally find that
Exciting.
exciting, and also I guess it drives my determination up to actually pursue it, because I think if you're in that situation, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah, it's a necessity. Yeah.
And I think if you're kind of making it, maybe not, I don't know, if you're kind of making it too easy for yourself, then there's always the potential to maybe not commit to it as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's just personally how I feel about that.
Mm.
Mm. So it sounds like you're more self-aware of you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think there's a lot more just acceptance in general of life and myself, and which I didn't really have, 10 years ago. But I think it's, important to really kind of accept things for, to an extent. I think accept who you are, and kind of, this is who you are as a person, and that's me, and so that's what I've got to offer, and kind of focus on putting that out there.
What goals do you have? Let's say, not in any time period, but is there any milestones that you really want to hit, or anything that you're looking forward to doing?
Not so much milestones, but I'm looking forward to, like I said, kind of exploring the bigger world around me, and making, as much as I love all my friends and everything, and all my family. Like, makes it exciting to go elsewhere, and try and meet new people, and
Yeah.
I think moving to a different place really, I don't know, changes your perspective on the world. I think it's easy to, if you're kind of if you're staying in the same place for a while, your perspective can be quite limited.
Yeah.
And I think I really realized that when I went over there last. I kind of just saw more that kind of agreed with what I wanted out of life, which was really to kind of have more, I guess. Not possessions or things like that, but just experience and understanding.
Yeah.
So I got two questions. So what excites you the most, and what are you most fearful of?
I think where I'm going, there's a lot in terms of life and culture there, and I'm excited to really explore that. Like, I'm really, really excited to just kind of walk around and explore a new place, because I really like places. I really like locations. I'm excited to get to know a different place, but also kind of really kind of like I was talking about, kind of starting again. I'm really kind of looking forward to starting again and kind of moving my life in a certain direction, kind of taking charge of it, I guess. But I think what maybe scares me the most is going over there and not really knowing anyone. Like, I have a handful of people I know, but no one I'm particularly close with. So that's, and especially, I think it's hard. It can be quite hard to make friends and meet new people as an adult. So that's definitely a challenge. And also, things like, I found a place to live, which is huge. But yeah, I think finding, trying to find a proper job, and kind of not going over without a job. But that's part of I think that's part of the journey and the challenge.
So I've got a question. So you mentioned a number of times about starting like on a clean slate. So what do you think that you're going to do differently? Like, what would you, now that you have this clean slate before you, what's going to change?
I think, as I've been kind of preparing to go, like, my mindset has kind of shifted, and I'm not as focused as on reaching certain points. Like, I'm not getting too focused on what the future's going to hold. So I think that's one thing that's really changed. Just
more in the moment.
Yeah, I think just kind of taking it for how it is, and that being the thing.
Yeah.
That's the journey. It's not the like, you know, there's that cliche that says it's not the destination, it's the journey.
It's a journey, yeah.
But, you know, I think like things like I really kind of want to take a bit more charge of my health, like mentally and physically, you know, just kind of eat better. And I think for me personally, I think removing myself from where I've been for so long and kind of putting myself in somewhere different, I think I'd like to hope that that's going to be really motivating to really get there.
Yeah, I think it will be, you know. And there's a lot in psychology about how environment, you know, can reinforce behaviors because, you know, if you take someone, let's say you take someone who's, you know, like a hardcore drug user off the street, off of, you know, where they're from, rehabilitate them, put them back where they were, the environment kind of reconditions that in them. So we say I did a bit of personal training, and environment, both in people and in location, super important. So I think it's great. Like new beginnings like that are such a good way to kind of make a bunch of changes. So yeah.
Well, they say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Do you feel that you have enough grit in you that no matter what life throws at you, you'll be able to take it?
I think so. Yeah, I think like I was talking about before. I think it's something that I really want to do. I'm doing. So I think that, you know, I think you really need you know, in order to push it and to have that grit, I think you have to really desire something and go for it. So I think it's you know, important to kind of find what you really want out of life and kind of allow yourself to really get there. You know, not let those cold feet kind of pull you down.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a firm believer in we got one life to live, and it's always been a passion of mine to always put myself where I want to be, around people I want to be around, and it's sad when I hear or see people who are afraid to make a move, no matter what it is, if it's a job or whatever, or being in an environment that you're not happy with. So I'm proud of you for you being willing to leave your comfort zone, and that's a big problem when people struggle to leave their comfort zone. And
I think like what Malik was saying before, how it's, you know, it's never kind of too late. I think that's something I've kind of realized. Like, you know, initially I kind of, you know, reaching my 30s. I think, you know, because, you know, I'm still, you know, being in your 20s, still quite young. But I think I kind of hit a point where I realized that there's so much more to come. You know, you've got so much more time. You know, so you're not losing time, I think.
Yeah, that's a very smart realization because it's not one I've had yet.
And it's hard to, I think, in your 20s because you have so much, you know, you have so much pressures, you know, so many internal and external pressures.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I think when, you know, and this is coming from people who in their 30s who I know and have had to, you know, talk to, I think, like, they've been having the time of their life because, you know, they've really kind of taken charge of their life and are being clearer on where they kind of, or what they really want, I guess. So I think that's the kind of thing I've come to realize.
Yeah, no, that's very hopeful because for me, ever since you know, the last 2020 fiasco happened, I felt like I had 2 years from my youth robbed from me in a way. Like when I was 20, 21, 22, that's, you know, university years, and ever since then I felt an insecurity about time, and you know, it's hopeful to hear you say that, you know, like you kind of seen the light at the end of the tunnel, that the rest of your life is just, you know, it's right in front of you. But I guess when you're in your 20s, it feels as if the 20s is it, you know. So yeah, it's really good to hear.
well, I'm in my 50s, and I can tell you this for sure: none of us is guaranteed tomorrow. You got to live your life like there is no tomorrow. But having said that, you can have a long life, many years to work on and becoming the person that you want to become. It doesn't have to come in your 20s or your 30s, or your 40s, or even your 50s. Because we're not guaranteed it, but at any moment, you can change your life, you can improve your life. I have we got a guy called Uncle Bud back home. He became an international star music when he was 82. So up until that point, he worked as a sharecropper and lived on his own for many years. And then all of a sudden, his life would turn around and he became an international star at 82. So you don't know what's promised or what's in store for you in the future. You just have to plan and prepare and just take your time and find your way. But keep discovering who you are. And I think, Dwayne, what I hear from you, you had a sort of a fast track in the last year or so of discovering more who you are, how you fit in this world. And that's key to internal peace and happiness. So does that sound about right?
Yeah, I would kind of say that, you know, it can be, you know, it is, it can be a bit anxiety inducing, you know, kind of going with the flow, but I would kind of try and, you know, see that as an exciting thing. It's a, you know, it's not an end point. I would kind of try and embrace it as opposed to kind of running away from it, because you don't know what's going to happen. I think.
What have I always told you guys? Embrace it. Run through the ring of fire. Don't run away from it.
I think if you don't know, you really never going to know. You know, like if you don't go for it. So it's like, well, and you know, it's like if you do try and it doesn't work, at least you tried it, and
yeah,
you can learn something from that,
yeah.
Which I think can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's all very good to hear, and it's given me a lot to think about, especially, you know, in the next 5 years of my life. I'll be approaching 30, and of course I look up to what you're doing. I think it's really awesome, and
Yeah, same here. I'm excited about your future. I'm very happy for you to take this big risk, because people say risk is everything's risky. Life is risky, you know. They're just saying life is risky. We're not going to get out alive. So while we're here, we got to give it a crack and not be afraid. Go forward. Go for your life, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everything works out. And I know you'll be fine, because this is a decision that you made, and you're ready to roll with it. So, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, if you like what you're listening to, hit the subscribe button and follow us on Overhead Mindset Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We had a good chat. Went over starting anew, and hopefully you got something out of it. You know, there might be someone in your life who wants to start afresh, yourself included. So hope you like what you listen to, and give us a subscribe.